Good morning and welcome to Taba, Tell All By All. Today we welcome Dean Owens onto the show. Dean has served in the British Army, worked in Her Majesty's Prison Service, being a British police officer, and also worked for the RSPCA. Dean, thanks very much for coming on the show. That's quite the CV you've got going there, mate.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, I must like uniforms.
And also, Dean's the founder of No Duff UK, which we're going to come on to a little bit later on in the show. Dean, what I'd like to do, mate, is just go back to the sort of beginning with you, where your sort of background and what has led you to serving all these wonderful services, and also what you're doing now. A lot of it seems like it looks to me like you're out to help people. So if you'd like to take me back to where it all started, please, mate.
Yeah, started 16. Well, before that, I was in the Sea Cadets for a number of years. I think I did about 6 years. All intentions to join the Royal Marines. Went to sea with the Sea Cadets. Didn't have sea legs at all. So decided to join the army. And basically got swizzled at the careers office, as you do. They must have quotas that they've got to fill it, and from the onset, I wanted to be part of the Royal Tank Regiment. The Army Careers Office sergeant had said, like, well, you know, you can drive tanks in the Royal Corps of Signals, and I was like, oh, all right, yeah, get a trade, and did that. Got me radio operator trade. Got me dream sheet, and I picked all the glorious places that you think you're going to get. Ended up in Colchester with 19 Infantry Brigade, then moved back up to Catterick, where I did my basic training, and then transferred then into the Royal Tank Regiment. Operational tour wise, we did Northern Ireland. During Northern Ireland, my first son was born, and I was very lucky, really. I had a fantastic Brit commander, and I will mention his name, Eric Kinez. He's one of the best soldiers out there, or well, he's out now, and a brilliant OC who at the time was Major Ellis. They let me go home, see the birth of my first son, and of course I've got him in my arms, and I'm kind of like, you know, this is showing him through the window. I don't know why I did this, but I was showing him through the window of look at the world, and it was Wiston in Merseyside. And I think, and then I thought, I can't not leave him, and leave me then wife. So I'd caught wind that after Northern Ireland we were having the post-tour leave, and then from there we were going to be deploying to Cyprus, not on the UN tour, but as part of exercise Lion Sun. I knew that from exercise Lion Sun, which is like pre-deployment training, really, because you get to do loads of stuff, and then I'd caught when one of the clerks had told me that, you know, Bosnia was on the cards, and I thought, well, I'm never going to see my son as a baby, so I made that decision to sign off, and that was in 1995. I left the regiment then.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, when you have kids and trying to balance it both, and there's a decision there to be made for everybody, I feel. That signals block telling you that a 432 is a tank. We both know that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
To everyone else, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. And we have this mad thing because we're tankies. It's like, no, not having that. You know, people will say, "Oh, yeah, it's a tank." No, it's not. The same with the scimitar and the scorpion, isn't it? You know, oh, look at that tank. No, it's not a tank. It's a CVRT.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I'm always picking
Yeah.
people.
I mean, I was CVRT trending, so I never done Challenger, but I fully acknowledge I wasn't on tanks. But anyway, so how long did you serve in total?
In total, I was just short of 5 years.
Right.
Was it a regret leaving? Sometimes I think we all look back and go, "Oh yeah, I should have stayed in." And then I look at what I've done since. It was probably the best decision I did make, because I've a lot of development came into play with the various jobs that I've had. But I think the army does give you that good confidence training, the mechanics that you learn working on the armored vehicles. It sets you in good stead, and the camaraderie as well, the black humor, which I don't think civvies grasp at all. You know, so yeah, so I do miss that. I don't miss the fuck around, if I can say that, of you know, where you kind of you've planned your weekend, you're going home, you're doing that 4 or 5 hour journey, then that turns into troop rowing, where the fuck you think you're going, you're on guard, and you're like, you bastard.
Yeah.
You know. So I don't miss that, but yeah, I miss the camaraderie and the laughs. You know, so yeah.
Yeah. So out of one uniform, was it straight into another? Or did you have like in between jobs?
I did. I'd left. Went for an interview on a weekend. The weekend that I'd actually come home and left, I went straight into work in the security industry. I became a store detective. God awful job, that, and then I went into the Royal British Legion attendants, which they have their own security firm. So I did that. Got a commendation from them for a road traffic accident, and that witnessed, and I'd got out and I'd saved a few people. And then one of the guys that was working with, he was ex-Navy. His name was Gary Molyneux. Sadly, Gary passed away when he was at his funeral last week.
Sorry to hear that bit.
No, mate. It's life, isn't it? You know. There was a new prison being built in Liverpool, a place called Fazakerley, and it was going to be a category A prison. So he got a job there, and ended up being a trainer very, very quickly. He said to me, Dean, he said, you'd love it. You know, you're back with colleagues that you know you'd have served within the army. It's all that. You're back within it, working within a team. They've got your back and stuff. So I gave that a go. Passed the interview, passed the tests. Worked on I think on every wing that you could. So from remand to enhanced prisoners to young offenders wing, and then obviously the what we used to call the wrong-uns wing. And then I kind of got bored because there was 2 officers to God knows how many prisoners, and they only had 2 landings, but under 2 landings they were all doubled up. So it was quite, if it went off, it could be quite volatile. But a position came up to become a dog handler. and I literally bit their hand off, so to speak. Went up to a place in Durham, just outside Concert. And did my training there, loved it. After a while, it became boring, because we was just, it was like being back at the mayor's prison again, to be honest with you. It was just walking around that wall with your dog. An advert came up to become a police officer with Merseyside Police, and my dad was a former police officer with the Ministry of Defence. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. So I did. I was in the Special Constabulary, because I thought that would give me a good base, really, to get an understanding of what it's like to be a police officer. And then I went, did all the tests again, and then became a regular police officer. So including specials and regular, I think it was about 14 years. I was based in St Helens, and then when I was a regular, I was based in Liverpool City Centre, mate. And it was, when you all sit round, you all sit round in a circle at the start of every new job course, if you're on a team. The instructors go around, and everyone's, so what do you want to be? And people were saying all this stuff like, oh, I want to be armed response. Then it was, I want to be on the major investigations team in the CID. And it came to me, and I just said, I just want to be a football player. I just want to be like Nick Berry from Heartbeat. Locking people up for rustling sheep and knowing everyone's business, because I don't gossip. That's all. But and I got Liverpool City Centre, and the first 2 years I absolutely loved it. Thanks for that, mate. Have you seen the cup she's put on there, mate?
Excellent.
Nice one. Fucking knob.
See, just go back to the sort of prison service, Dean.
Yeah.
When you were working with young offenders and stuff like that, but was there much stuff for them in there to try and rehabilitate and get them ready for when they leave? Because I know now it's like a bit of a revolving door for some of the young lads in and out, isn't it?
There is stuff if they want to apply themselves.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, the young ones, they've got to prove a point. They've got to have a top dog. There's a power struggle, and of course you have the gang culture as well.
Yeah, I've heard in the past that young offenders is a bit worse than actual.
Mate, it's if you remember the film Scum.
Yeah.
Although that was a morsel, I would put it on a par with that. And funny enough, when COVID hit, No Duff became part of Operation React, and our specific role was to help hotels who were putting up homeless people to prevent the spread of COVID, whether you believe that COVID lot or not, it's entirely up to you. But I'd seen a lad in there, and he was the security fella, and I'm like, I know you. I'm looking at him, and he keeps looking at me. Anyway, we got talking. Nice lad. I turned around to him and said, yeah, I've been locked up, mate. And he went, yeah, well, why's that? I said, I know you. Was you at Alt Course? And he went, fuck off, no. And he said to me, Dean. And I went, yeah. Oh, you were all day, you, mate. You were sound, and top fella. So I got him. He was arrested for knife crime. I just got him with the wrong crowd, and that was it. And now he lives a life where he's not involved in crime. He's a lot older, a lot wiser, and I got him involved in talking to kids about crime and prison. But yeah, it was bizarre that.
Yeah, that must give you a really good feeling, mate. And it's that man. If you can go back to a place and people have got a bit of respect for you, it's good to hear the fact that he said you were sound. Obviously, meant you've done the job correctly anyway. So, obviously, from the police force, did you decide to go into the RSPCA straight for there, or was that just something that you?
No, what happened there was I went through a number of traumatic events. You know, there was one. I think the start of it was when I was identified as a police officer, where I lived, and I took a pasting off a group of 10 people, and my family then had witnessed it. That was, I think that was the start of everything going shit, really, mind-wise, mental health-wise. I remember being in, I'd got choked out, I was getting strangled. Now my young kids were watching this. I think my youngest then was about 3. My oldest was about 8. I remember being sat in the back of a police carrier. We was going to the jobs, the blue lights, the Claxtons, all that kind of stuff. And I just broke down in the back of the van, saying, "Look, you know, I need to go home. I need to go out. I need to make sure that my family's safe." So took me back to the Nick. Off I went and seen the doctor. I was a couple of weeks, I think, off, and then sorted my head out, back to work, and then there was a spate of it was sudden death after sudden death, and it's for me. It's never about dealing with the body or body parts or anything like that. It's the emotional connection, because I'm the one that's got to make that knock on that door, or that call for them to identify the body, and then to be with them when they identify the body at the mortuary. And it was, I think that affected me. But again, I'd carried on work, got involved in a lot of community stuff, developed an inquiry office or a cop shop at the Royal Liverpool Hospital. My brother, he was in the British Transport Police, and him and his mate Glenn used to come in and we'd have a brew. While we all, you know, we're doing our own pocket notebooks and things like that. And I'd called, again, my first wife. I knew her dad was going through the mill, and he'd come back. I rang her to ask how her dad was, and she'd always got throat cancer. So a bit taken back by that, you know. I'm sympathetic, but then a call came out. And it was just a bog standard call. There were street drinkers in a particular area in Liverpool. It was on my beat. Could I go out and go and deal? So I said, yeah. Now my brother and his mate were in a police vehicle. And I said, come on, we'll go with you. So we got there, and I'd recognised some of the group, and they said, do you want an hand? And I went, no, you're all right, lads. So off they went. I went down, and there's a thing where I think they still have it now, where you can't drink from an open tin or sort of stuff like that. You can't drink alcohol in a public place. It was some bylaw, and basically you had to seize the alcohol and then dispose of it and whatnot. So there's 10 of them, and it was a commotion. Some of the drinkers knew me, it kind of like knew I was quite fair. So, but one took an exception to it, and the next minute, we're at a standoff where fully loaded needle is getting jabbed at me. I put my left hand up to try and do a block, but the needle went in. I tried to reach for me CS spray, couldn't get it. At the same time, I noticed that there was a woman and a child in a pram coming down. I thought, well, if I use the CS, they're going to get the effects of it. And you know what CS is like. It's horrific stuff. So we then ensued in a grappler. There was two jabs to me left hand, and then I think 3 into me right thigh. So the person gets locked up, put in the back of the van, and then I said I'd have to go to the Royal, go to the Royal and start blood tests and all that. Now back then, you had to wait 6 months for your bloods to come back and be all clear. So that had like an impact on it. But it was when I went home, and I'd rang the wife and I'd said, look, I'm going to be late home. I'm at the hospital. Don't worry, I'm all right. It's just that I've been jabbed by a needle, and they're just doing tests and stuff. So I went home, put my arms round it, and it was shrugged off. It was, I don't know what you've got. Don't know what you've got. So I was saying, sorry about bad news about your dad. So that happened, and then there was little things where there was we all do it. We all have a pot or whatever that you put your toothbrush in and all that kind of stuff. But mine then was taken to one side and separated from everyone else. It sounds daft that, but it messed me head up a little bit, and I was like, why are you doing that? There's no real reason why you should be doing it. And even though I explained, so that happened, and of course there was no intimacy and that. Then I thought I couldn't hug or kiss the kids, on my lads. I think that's when the marriage started going down the pan. I started having flashbacks, nightmares. I was sent to. Do you remember the 7/7 bombings? So that happened, and we're all on duty. And this was after this stabbing. 7/7 happened, and we were all kept on, and that was fine. And then a couple of weeks after, I'm on patrol, and I'm just waiting. I'm going in for me scoff. So I've been the Pound Bakery because I'm a tight ass. Oh, yeah. And I'm walking back to the nick, and a shout comes up, and I'm thinking, please, not anyone near me. I'm starving. And it was a suspect package. It was suspect luggage at the Norton Street bus station in Liverpool. You can look it up. And I was like, I can't believe it. It was round the corner. I was coming into that area. I thought, oh, you bastard. So goes as 40-20 dealing. So I went. The place was bustling. There was people all around. I was thinking, why hasn't the manager got everyone out? And of course, you couldn't use your radio because you didn't know what if it was a device, and if you use your radio, then you could trigger it. So I said to the manager, I want everyone out. She said, you can't do that. People are waiting for the bus. No, I want everyone fucking out now. We need to search. We need to. She said, well, it's there over there. And I went, right, I want everyone out. I went and checked the this suspect luggage out, and it had all. To be honest, it had all the markers. I won't go into ethnicities and stuff like that. But I got to the luggage. I could see wires, and I could see a clock. And I always remember kneeling down, and because there was a gap in the zip, I thought if I just open it a little bit more, and I could see something, and thought, shit, what is it? And it was liquid. It was a different color. It was a color I'd never seen. So I was like, oh, there we go. So I pushed everyone back from the bus station, pushed them back, got me distance, made me call, and the duty, the bronze commander then said, Dean, you was in Northern Ireland. I said, yeah, well, you know, your training, you're now in command of that area until we get other people down. And from then on, mate, it was like a scene from Dad's Army. Honest to God, they came down with the Matrix. The Matrix are like a tactical support group. I won't give me comments on the Matrix, but they came down and they basically went up to it, and I said, look, mate, I leave this to the RLC EOD if they're on the way. But no, they've got to go and give it Billy Big Bollocks and have a look. They had a look. They come back and said, oh no, it's a job too big for us. We'll have to get the X-ray machine. So the X-ray machine comes down. They do a shot of it. They then say, too big a job for us. We'll have to call the EOD in. By this stage, the evacuation had caused half of London Road all the way down to a main RV point that was getting set up for casualties, and the casualties were to be taken to St George's Hall. EOD turned up, and they then looked at this X-ray and they said, again, too big a job for us. We'll have to send the wheelbarrow in and do a controlled explosion. Wheelbarrow goes in, shoots it, and it was a fucking lava lamp and just a clock. I thought it was a mercury tilt switch. And that never affected me. But after that, there was a sudden death that I dealt with, and that had a profound effect on me. And I just started to lose. My memory was going short term. I'd flip completely. The most things I'd just go bang. Showing all the telltale signs of PTSD. I went and seen, got referred to the force doctor. I was waiting for an hour in the waiting room. I'd gone in after an hour. Of course, I was fuming. He said, right, constable, whatever it was, but he got my name wrong. So I was like, sorry, it's not. My name's Constable Dean Owen, 4020. Oh, yes. So why are you here? So I just said, you fucking joking? I've spent an hour in that waiting room and you've not had the common decency to look through my file to find out why I'm here. And then it was, well, you're getting angry. You're getting angry, Constable. I said, well, yeah, you can't blame me. I'm having none of this. So then I was in fact, I stormed out, slammed the door, all this kind of stuff, and then I had an appointment with psychiatric nurses, and it didn't help. Didn't help, and the ended up going seeing the force psychiatrist who then diagnosed me with chronic PTSD. There's loads of different branches of PTSD, as you probably were, but I was diagnosed with chronic. I was sent to from pillar to post then, and then I found out that they were going to medically retire me. And I was on medication, and one of the medications I had to take was in the morning. Now, if I'd have took it before my shift began, they took me off the streets then, of course, and I'm working on a computer. And the medication, if I'd have took it before I went to work, then my driving would be affected. Or if I got pulled, I'd be under the influence. So I used to take it when I got in work. Then, of course, I'm accused of being pissed. My speech would be slurred. I'd be kind of like giving it the old noddy dog, trying to go to sleep. I got pulled in, and the sergeant just said to me, "Better ask you now." And it was in the presence of another sergeant. Have you been drinking? Have you taken any drugs? And I went, yeah. And I saw their face like go like balls shite. And I said, yeah. I said, I'm on medication. I said, I've got to take it at this time. These are the effects. If you haven't an understanding of that, call the OHU nurse. The OHU nurse was brilliant. A lady called Anita Stevenson, and she tells you as it is. So I think she then gave my supervision down the banks, and then I was suffering quite bad at home, real bad. And I came into work. We were doing crime statistics, and we had to hit all these targets. And this sergeant had one of these high flyers, graduate things. She'd come in. Dean, you're doing that wrong. I said, I'm not. She said, yeah. I said, we're now way below our figures, and it's all because of you. And I said, no, hang on. Got my notebook out. I said, that's what you told me to do. I said, I wrote it down as you were showing me. No, well, it's wrong. So I flipped, picked the keyboard up and flung that. I said, right, I'm fucking off. I'm going home. You're not going to see me. Didn't see anyone for about 6 weeks. Then I got a phone call off the Federation rep. Brilliant fella. Basically said they were going to retire me on ill health. So his advice, and I'm Tony Barton. His advice was take your money and run, because the police is going to get worse. So I did, and you know what? I'm glad, because I've seen for what it is now to what it compared to what it was back when I was in. It's totally changed. It's all corporate. There's all sorts that goes on, and because the line of work I'm in now, I do hear about things, and I'm glad I'm out. that said, I'll always support the blue line, and those who were still serving. So I got retired. I was doing everything. Didn't work. I went through a rebellious phase, and then got a job working with Fords. Funny enough, great little job. No stress, no nothing, and that was delivering cars that were getting serviced. So it's what we call collect and deliver. We was doing that, and then one of the lads said to me, he said, "Dean, you don't look well." So I said, "You know," I said, "I feel a bit shit, but it was nothing." So as the day went on, I started feeling worse, and I got my son a job there, and I'd pick him up and bring him into work. So I had to take him home. It wasn't a freezing day or anything like that. It was in December, but I was shaking uncontrollably. And I mean, I was like full on, you know, my body's going every day. I'm trying to drive anyway. I got back home, strips off me clothing, because then I was burning hot, absolutely burning hot. But my body temperature had gone down. As the temperature went down further, and then layering up, pyjamas on, woolly dressing gown, I've got a quilt wrapped around me, started to speak nonsense, a bit like I am now. The wife said to me, I'm not happy, I'm going to call the ambulance. Anyway, they turned up, bluesing to Western A&E, waited ages, seen a doctor. He said, "Oh, you've got chest infection." I said, "I haven't. This is more than a chest infection." She said, "No, you're not a doctor." I said, "No, but clearly I'm not, but I know enough about my own body to understand that this isn't a chest infection." So they sent me home. The next day, I was obviously 10 times worse. So instead of going A&E, I went to the emergency doctor. The emergency doctor then said, "Don't bother with getting an ambulance because you're going to be it'll be too late." That sounds like I'm dying then. But you'll get there quicker. So gets up to A&E, and I'd sat down, and I was honking, mate. I was absolutely honking. I'd kind of like leaned over onto a chair, but like comatose in effect. Anyway, the nurse come out, check me over, triage, and I said, "It's nothing to worry about, Dean." She said, "But we're gonna put you into resus because there's no other beds available." So I was just belligerent and said, yeah, that's fine. And then this doctor came in and he says, "Do you know why you're in resus?" So I said, "Yeah, there's no beds." And he said, no. He said, "I'll go through things." So I just said, "Look, tell me straight." I said, and I said, I'm ex-army and police. I said, and we, you know, we can take it on the chin, we can dress it up, just say. And I said, "I'm a fucked." And he went, you're not well at all, and we need to put you in a coma, an induced coma." I said, "Have I got time to have my family round?" And he said, "Yeah, your mum's on the way. I think she might have been there." And I asked for me 2 boys, and I had to cram literally everything I wanted to say to me 2 boys in about 2 minutes. Everything from make sure you do well, always be respectful, and you know, if I don't pull through this type of thing, I still love you, always will. I'll be looking down on you. I'll be looking after you. And then that was me then in the coma. I was over Christmas. I got apparently Christmas Eve, the wife got the call that she better come up now because that was going off. They thought I was gonna, well, my time is up, so to speak. And then by chance, I pulled through. But I tell you what, when people say you won't remember anything when you're in a coma, I tripped my box off, mate. I absolutely tripped. I was all over the world. The Queen the Queen was still alive, obviously, but she'd abdicated, and they wanted every ex-soldier on parade. Even if you was sick, you had to report to the Royal Chelsea Hospital. This was all like going on in my mind as I can remember every single dream. I even remember my lad Dan coming in, and he brought a CD player, and he put Pink Floyd on. And mate, that just made me dreams more tripper. You know, but yeah, I'd come through that, and that was like you reflect on that after, and I thought, we've got to make best of life. But then I'd done a number of me colleagues had took their own life. I was still having the nightmares and things, and I took a decision to end my life on 2 occasions. One was through an OD, and then one was I tried to hang myself. Not very good at that, so I stopped it. You know, couldn't continue with that. So then I formed No Duff. I thought, oh, if I'm not good at killing myself, then what am I good at? And I reverted back to the army, the police, all the training aspects of that, and it was helping people.
So I just wanted to, sorry mate, but I just wanted to sort of touch on something. You've covered most of it, but back then when you were having all your troubles and stuff like that, the sort of police support, was there stuff in place to help with sort of PTSD back then and mental health issues? To me, what you're saying there, it wasn't very good at the time, and especially a doctor not knowing who you were, that's piss poor, as we can probably all agree. But have you heard that it's got better over the years? And it's surely now mental health's massively out there, as we know, and thanks very much for sharing that, by the way. That'll help a lot of people, Dean. Has it got better? Because surely it has, it along with the rest is.
I'll touch on one of the first points you made. There's actually there's a police drama based in Liverpool, and it's called The Responder, and it's by a guy called Tony Schumacher. And one of my mates was the police advisor on it. Tony Schumacher was also a serving police officer with Merseyside Police, and there's actually a bit in it where he's getting his mental health addressed, and the OHU I don't know, staff member or whatever gets his name wrong in it. Now, if it's happened to me, and it happened to Tony Schumacher, it's happening all the time. Now, back then, it was it was dreadful. People thought you were taking a piss, you were malingering, you were just trying to get out of duties and that. But it's a living hell. If you're having nightmares, you're kicking out. You'll one incident. I'd pin my wife down by the neck, but couldn't remember. So it was bad. Now, in fact, in 2021, I wrote to the Chief Con of Merseyside, Serena Kennedy, saying how shocked I was at the lack of support for mental health for police officers. This is who we are. We've got the lived experience. And I know that you've got X amount of bobbies who have been waiting longer than 6 months for therapy. 2 days later, I got a call from the occupational health unit asking me to come up and see them and obviously talk about No Duff. I'd already done a couple of presentations about what had happened with me, and I prepared this speech. I was going to give, I literally was going to give a bollocking and say to them, "You're hurting people. You're hurting your own staff by not reacting." As I say, I was going in all fired up, and it was did the normal meet and greet, and then it was, "Dean, how can you help us?" And and the words out my mouth was, "How many have you got?" I was shocked, and I just said, "Give them me," and I've got a full team of therapists. We all the staff that had all served in the emergency services, the army, navy, etc. It was 200, I think it was 240 or something daft like that they sent. The vast majority of them were back in work. And then obviously after slashing their numbers, our services were no longer required. I have been told very, very recently that waiting list has now gone up. Again, people are waiting months. They will deny it, but I would say no. You're still doing things wrong. You know, and they've dropped the therapy wise. We used to do 8 sessions, and 8 sessions isn't enough in the grand scheme of things. But to drop it down to 6 was ridiculous. So they will paint this picture that they're doing a great job. They got a lot of money. They restructured everything. They put nice little posters up, and they have like a health van that goes round. The bobbies come to me now before they go to occupational health, because they know
that's
sad, and yet we can't we're a not-for-profit organisation, and we need, if we're treating bobbies, and we are treating bobbies at the minute, they don't want to go to OHU. They want to stay with therapy with us. But I'm not going to be able to claim that money back from the police. You know, so I don't think that they're still doing enough. I really don't. there's a long way to. I know we've. Oh, sorry, mate.
I'm going upstairs to the flat.
Yeah.
Getting rid of stuff. I'm going to take the burning stuff and things.
Just give me two. Can you pause this, mate? Just
Yeah,
2 seconds while I deal with something. Apologies. Yeah, apologies for that, mate. Something came
That's
up.
fine. It's absolutely fine.
But yeah, there's still a lot. There's still a lot they can do. They got an awful lot of money, but the officers and support staff. We can't forget the support staff. People who are in the radio room, they also get affected. But there's a lot more that they can do. The average waiting time now, we're actually dealing with with an officer. I won't mention what force or wherever. He's been waiting for 6 months.
Wow.
Came to us.
It's a shame because obviously in the military, I feel it's got a lot better. It's a shame to hear that it's not sort of transpired into police as well.
I think the military has 100% got better. There's things like op courage and stuff like that for when the veterans are out of service, and I'm glad to hear that someone else is saying that it has got better.
Massively, it really has.
And rightly so. But yeah, I'm still affected, and I'll touch on stuff that I do with Ukraine and that in a bit, or when you feed me the question. But I still have nightmares. I'm still hypervigilant. I'm still somebody else, from in a pub. I still do the standard squaddy thing where you got the bats on the wall, you're clocking the both doors, who comes in. If there's a guy who comes in and you notice he's got a limp or something like that, if you start thinking, well, if he kicks off and it looks like he's going to kick off, I know I can take that leg out. All little things like that. Shopping, I find horrendous. So going into supermarkets, and it's not me just being stereotypical bloke of trying to get out of shopping. It becomes an absolute nightmare for me, and I've got to get it. I've got to get out. But I'm loads better than what I was years. Years ago. I've got no suicidal ideation. I'm on medication. I'm a big advocate of taking medication. People tend to think, oh, they don't want to go on that because they'll get addicted or whatever. And my advice is that if your psychiatrist is prescribing you a medication, then you should take it. We can talk about chemical imbalances, serotonin, and all those type of things. And and always bolster that on with either therapy or something that you do. Now, my therapists are my two boys. So I've got my eldest lad. He's 8 years in the police, same area as what I was in. And my youngest, Connor, he was in the Royal Tank Regiment down in Tidworth. He's out now, and I couldn't ask. I mean, we're the typical father and son. Some things, but they're my best mates. They're my go-to people, and I get my own therapy from them, but I also take the medication, and the medication is to help you sleep. For me, to help me sleep, because I'd go for days and days without sleeping.
Yeah, and I think we know that sleep is a massive, massive factor.
Yeah.
I think I was just on a course that this week, and I heard that 5 nights at 5.5 hours sleep is the equivalent to being just on or over the drink drive limit.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. Wow.
I just heard it this week, and I was on a mental fitness course this week, and I heard that, and I was like, wow. Because I've been sort of on that sort of limit myself then a couple of times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Dean, we'll move on to No Duff. What I've read about it, it seems absolutely amazing what you've done, mate, and everything that you gave me, that whole backstory, and it sort of gave me an idea of how you've led into this. So when did No Duff start, and what was your sort of thinking at the time of setting it up?
As I said, we'd had a number of friends and colleagues who were successful at taking their own life. It was one of the guys. He was ex-RTR, Dave Fairclough. I knew him from the regiment, and then as Dave was in the traffic division in the police. Dave took his own life. We went to the funeral, and there was like some of the guys from my old troop and whatnot, and we had it was great being all together again. And when we all like sort of filtered out, Christ, we hammered the port. We had a real good session and memories and all this lot. And I was walking home from the wake, and I was surprised. I was felt completely sober, felt completely. I was thinking a lot clearer, and I got home and I sat down, and I just said, right, in my head, enough is enough. And I sort of thought, Dean, stop having all these really bad negative thoughts. Let's channel that into something. So I said to and I was at the police then, so I set a Facebook group up, and I added about 4, and it was a closed group, and I had about 4 people that I knew who was suffering, and it was just like a place where we could talk and even discuss like coping mechanisms and stuff that doesn't necessarily work, because what works for one may not work for another. And literally within a couple of days, that 4 people grew into 100 and so on and so forth. And it's now about 1,600 people on there. They're all veterans, EMS, prison, NHS, animal rescue services. Who all basically suffer in their own way, and they've got a safe place where they can vent, a safe place where they could they feel safe to come out with things, and nobody's there to judge them. We're not there for that. We're there to listen, and we're there to help. So yeah, it grew to the point where I was like, I'm gonna have to open this up and have a therapy team, have a board of directors. And so then in I think it was May 2019 that we signed up with the company's house and became a community interest company, and things just started to grow from there. I was doing talks. I took on a lot of Merseyside Police's backlog, and obviously a lot of work with veterans as well. And we don't come in from a clinical point of view. So if I think that someone's being a knob, I'll say, look, you're being a knob. You know, it's just like being back in the army and sort how we used to do. An example of that is one of our service users come in, and we had some official. Can't remember who it was in the office, and he came in through one of the doors, and I just got up, not thinking we had this visitor, and I went, "All right, you wanker, how's it going?" Put my arms around and all that, and this woman was going, you know, "Oh God, you can't say that. That's terrible." I said, "No, it's not. Yes, he's a wanker," and we laugh, we joke, and that's our approach. It's just like being back in the mob, but obviously we've got that sort of serious side to it where we know when the feeling way too low. We put a cap on because of getting someone into therapy of 48 hours. Now, the fastest we've ever done it has been something that's like 10-20 minutes. You know, to get them a date to see one of our therapists.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wanna just come in and vent, especially the emergency services side of things. They'll come in and they just really want to just get everything off the chest, and then they're all right, for a few weeks, couple of months, whatever, and then they'll come back and do the same, and that were if they went through the other channels, then they've got that daunting feeling of waiting 6 months to see a therapist, and a week to see someone is too long. We need to be tackling this straight away, and we'll go on all the regimental pages, so like do like our own open source intelligence to see who's struggling, and we'll offer that hand to them. We operate a 24-hour helpline, and what's brilliant at the minute is that we haven't had a call out for a bit, so things are improving compared to when we first jumped the hotline. It was every single night. We've been there, and we've beat police and the emergency services to someone who was going to take their own life, and we've managed to prevent loss of life as well.
Yeah, so I suppose like you're saying there, although not clinical, these are really the first step to therapy.
Yeah,
just by talking to you, that's therapy for some people. A lot.
Massive.
I won't say a lot of people, but some people might not want to go and see a clinician. They might want to just come and vent to you, and that's absolutely spot on. And it gives you a real good sense of purpose as well, I suppose, if somebody is coming to you straight away.
Massively, mate. And I've got to be honest. I mean, the hours that I put in here ranges from anything from 14 to 16 hours. I'm slowly learning to cut back now and try and finish, half past 4 or 5. But even when I get home, the laptop comes open, and it's open for anyone who needs somebody to talk to. But it absolutely it helps my own mental health. I'm back in the game of helping people.
Yeah, like I said earlier, doing that sort of seems like a guideline of your life. Everything you've done, it sort of aimed around helping other people, like from the army to the police service to the HMP to RSPCA to what you're doing now. It sort of it all leans towards trying to give back to other people. Suppose you just got to remember for yourself as well that there is that time you need as well, isn't there? The start I gave you about the 5.5 hours, 5 days a week. You know, it's you do need to have a bit yourself. But I know you've got a great team there. So if you want to sort of give them a mention as well, they bring you in cups with princesses on them and stuff like that. That's gleaming.
Yeah, so I'll tell you how we got it. Debbie, who's my personal assistant,
Backbone of this company.
Yeah, you have to come in and speak now. What you were saying then, that I've got to take a kind of a back step. Of course, got me a board of directors, and I've got to shout them out. But in particular, my son, who's a director, he's been a massive help. And Graham Price again, which was to do with what we were doing with Ukraine, and then not being able to cope with having my own time, I took the decision to bring someone on board. Now I will only, regardless of what qualifications anybody's got, I will only recruit and accept people who have got the same background as me. So whether it's military, emergency services, etc. So I've been watching, as I said, we watched all the social media stuff, and I knew Debbie, who's in the office now with me. And I basically said, how do you fancy giving us an hand? I can't do all this on my own. It's getting too much. And it was all initially it was all the tiny little things that would take us five minutes to kind of do. All that I added up. Then became.
Can I just hold you for 1 second? Just for 1 second, mate. I'll come back.
Always there.
Apologies, I mentioned earlier I've got 2 miniature schnauzers.
Oh yeah, like I said, mate, don't worry. So I'd spoke to me directors. I said, look, I found someone who I think could be a real asset to what we do here, and I want to bring her on board for these reasons, but she's going to be interviewed. So we asked Deb, would she like to come in, albeit on a part-time basis. This is what she'll be doing. This is what you'll be getting involved in. So she jumps at it. So she got interviewed by myself and my son, and we grilled her, and now she's with us. I'm now finishing work, mate, at what, 4:30. Friday was about 2:00. I was like, it's never happened for over three years. And then when I go home and I'm thinking it's still daylight, it's like, so my whole mind has improved. Me physical fitness has started to come on, and so I've listened to what everyone said, and it's not that you take a step back, it is having that I don't know, not even time out, but realization that you're pushing, you're pushing yourself to the limit. And the way I thought about it, if I burn out, who's going to take the reins? And then we've got all these people that need the help. So yeah, so I took a gamble, and yet Deb's been a real asset. You know,
Yeah, I think
she's ex-Navy.
We won't hold that against her.
No, I try not to.
You nailed it in the head there, mate.
Mate, she was a blanket stacker as well. A blanket stacker in the Navy.
Yeah, I think you sort of nailed it there, mate. It's like if you burn out, then there's a lot of people who do rely on you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the absolute right decision. So you said you sort of started in 2019. Obviously, through the COVID period, did you obviously you never stopped? Did you get higher numbers coming to you, or were you doing stuff online with people and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think we worked throughout COVID. As I say, we became part of this Operation React. We got involved in that, and I think whether it was good or bad, one of the good things was the ability to work at home. When COVID first hit, I was furloughed from the RSPCA, and that bit was bad because I wouldn't do my normal everyday job through the day. I was building No Duff up, and then on the night I'd do my normal RSPCA work. And then what I found was that I'd be sat in the conservatory, a bit of low lighting, you know, the ambience, put a bit of music on, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll have a glass of wine. So then I'd that glass of wine then turned into 3 bottles. Then I wasn't getting it hit quick, so then I moved on to rum, and then I ended up with pancreatitis. I'm all good now. Still, I like a drink, but I don't. You don't drink nowhere near as much. But through COVID, it was after COVID we got hit big time with people who were suffering, and that was to do with they was going back to work, because you know if you're off sick and you're off for a period of time, you start getting that anxiety of going back into work. So yeah, we had a lot of that, especially in the police. The police had developed, you know, that they could work from home, they could investigate crimes on the laptop, and a lot of bobbies and support staff didn't want to go back to the everyday police work. They thought it was easier to do it at home, but yeah, it was after.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day about them getting back to work and stuff like that, and she said she found it quite nerve-wracking because a lot of people have done work from home in the past or been on the sick, but this was a mass thousands of people. So all them getting back to work as well, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because everybody's trying to reintegrate together, so you don't really know where the start point is.
Yeah.
So with No Duff as well, obviously Russia decided that they were going to attack Ukraine. You've got quite involved in that, Dean.
I'm one of my pastimes is the Second World War. Well, military history as a whole. So I've been watching what was going on, and as it was getting closer, I was going, this is an invasion. They're going to invade now. Bear in mind, they'd already had. Crimea had already been annexed, so they'd already took that. So you knew they were going to go further. So the day before, I started collecting medical aid, and we were gonna ship it out somehow. It caught everyone kind of like off guard. Before I knew it, we've got an office in a cracking place called the Wonderland Community Centre. They have a cafe. They closed down the cafe so we could use it as storage space for medical aid, humanitarian, the law. I was then asked to. Our word had got round that I was the go-to person to get things out to Russia. Now, I wasn't the go-to person. I was doing my bit, but word had got round that I was collecting, and there was a number of other businesses that got together, but they said, look, you know, you're heading it, your name will be on the documents, your company name and stuff. And that quickly built up. We got free storage space. I think in total there was about six or eight articulated lorries that got sent over. During the course of that, I'd received good intelligence from a source in Ukraine, where we was told 40% of aid was not getting to where it should be. So I said, right, okay, we need to address that. So I turned around to this group of businesses and I said, right, 40% of aid isn't getting through. We need to know where that aid is either going missing, or we need to ensure a main supply route and know where things are going, and they're going to the right organisations or the right teams and the right people. So they'll be doing a manifest for a load we were sending out, and I noticed they hadn't put me on the and my oppo on the ferry. So I questioned it and I said, hang on, you've not sorted our ferry out. At the time, Stena Line from Hull was doing free crossings for Ukraine, humanitarian aid, etc. They said, well, you're not going. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not going? I said, my name's on those lists. My company name's on them. You're not telling me I'm not going over. And then I was sort of questioned on, well, who you're taking over. I said, well, I don't need to tell you that. And I wasn't going to tell him that because my oppo was ex-military, ex-commando, etc. And their reasoning behind it was, well, what happens if you get killed? I said, well, lads, I can get run over by a bus. This can happen, that can happen. We need to know where this is going. So they said, no, we're not supporting it. So, well, in that case, I'm pulling the rug. I'm going to close it down so you're not using our business name. You're certainly not using anything connected to No Duff. I got all of my oppo, and I can mention his name, Rick Coulson, ex-bootneck. We planned a route. We'd loaded the pickup with loads of medical aid, medicines, etc. And we set off. We went over in the pickup. We didn't use hotels. We slept at the side of the truck. Breakfast was your typical 24-hour rat pack, and we went. We met all our, they call them fixers. All our fixers did our due diligence on them. They're still part of the team I've got now. We delivered aid into an organisation in Lviv, and it was a youth organisation. and they were going delivering humanitarian aid to the troops on the line, or he were in various bunkers around the city. Recently, I think it's called the Powder Tower, and that's where all the refugees had come from the southeast, came up to the Powder Tower in Lviv, which is west Ukraine, and did register themselves. And mate, it was like a scene from World War II, but in colour, if that makes sense. So from that was in April 22. So from Lviv, we were making our way down to Kyiv. So of course we went into Irpin and Bucha, and that was just on another fucking level. That shocking. You know, my mate turned around to me and he said, "Dean, I've done Iraq, I've done Afghanistan," and he said, "This is a fucking different ball game. I've never seen destruction like this." And mate, it was awful. Did what we could. Moved on to Kyiv. Met up with a couple of NGOs who we're still in touch with, and did a bit of training with some of the Territorial Defence Force lads. Bizarrely, mate, everything that you was trained in the army comes back to you. You know, I've been out since the 90s, but there was everything came back. Had come back to me, so we were doing all that, and then we needed to find our way out. We did that. And of course, you know, the mission's never over until the last man is back. And we were lucky there was only two of us, and we were successful. And within two we were I think I was on about 20 minutes, and I wanted like 2 weeks decompression, because as you can imagine, it was bad. Within 20 minutes, I was getting calls, and these calls were, when are you going again? This, and this, we then. I took this decision to say, right, fuck it. I went, fuck it, let's do it. So I thought this time I'll do something different. I'll put a shout out for an ambulance. So I took, put a thing on social media, right, I want an ambulance, this is what's going to happen. And again, it must have been about 48 hours. My old sergeant from the police, well, he was acting sergeant, absolute top guy, ex-RMP, close protection, all this lot. And he went, he'd been over in Ukraine back in 22. I think he was there in March. And he said, "Dean, I've got you an ambulance." And I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I've got your ambulance." I was like, "Fuck." And he said, "Oh no, seriously," sent me the pictures. And at the same time as this is going on, we're now getting the refugees coming through and coming up north. We were dealing with them, and we were providing them coffee mornings at the centre that we're at. Picked up a little bit of Ukrainian, although I'm shite at it because of my accent. But my lad, Danny, I won't say speaks it fluently, but he can hold a conversation. in Ukraine. So we started helping them. So this ambulance arrived. It didn't look like the pictures that Steve had sent me, or that ambulance. It needed work. all the female refugees, because that's all they were, went, right, let's start working on it. So they started cleaning it up and all this kind of stuff, and it gave them a sense of purpose. They felt that they was doing something for the war effort, and it was.
Yeah.
And then we thought, right, well, what we're gonna take over, right? We'll load it up with medical aid. So we absolutely jam-packed that ambulance full of medical aid. Same with the pickup truck, and that was it. We went to stayed in Lviv overnight, up early in the morning, moved on to Kyiv, then doubled back to Irpin and Bucha to see how it had changed, and it was a massive change. Absolutely massive change. You could see people walking about. It was just like a new town. But we had to move on. We had to go and deliver some personal items from the families that were staying here to their families in Ukraine. So we went to a particular location, and the family put us up for the night. And again, there's only two of us, and they put a meal on that must have been about for 10 people, mate. And it was like, oh, I've got to eat this. And their traditional soup is like, it's called borscht. It's just not for me, mate. I'd had it before on the first tour, and I mean, I'm not embarrassed about it, but yeah, shit my pants. Not very good during an air raid, I might add, but yeah. 3:30 in the morning, Dino shit his pants. Later to find out that Rick had done the same. So I was put off by borscht. Next morning, again, we're up early, and the family who was looking after us, they brought a member of this village. Her son had been missing in actions since I think it was last June 2022, when we were in January 23, and she wanted to come and wish us good luck, and she gave us a big hug. That was quite emotional. And there's photos on my website of that family. And then from there we were moving further down south, down to Mykolaiv, where there was a British unit, or a British-led unit, who hadn't got anything really. They hadn't got any proper equipment. They were running out of food. So we went down, gave them what we could, and then they were saying, like, stay the night, and as we've got to go from here now, we've got to go back, we've got to go across to Odessa, where we was to hand the ambulance over to another organisation. So we did that, came back, and yeah, it started again. We're planning to go out again, and this time it'll be different places. So you probably guess where that is. But there's the Ukrainian people. They're so proud. They love the British. They're so friendly. They're so welcoming. The guys and the girls that are over there, I think there's something in the region of 3,000 veterans over there. Now, as I get sidetracked. Who's going to look after those veterans of the Ukrainian war? Because I've asked I think it was the Legion, SAFA, and the only answer that I get back is if they have served 1 day service within the British forces, then they will be entitled to treatment or help. So I said, well, what if they've been over to Ukraine and they've been either humanitarian, medical, or fighters? What's the help? No. We just deal with British veterans. Well, these are British veterans, so nobody's going to be there to pick them up. And this is the most bloodiest war since World War II. In fact, if you look at the way the invasion was done, there are absolutely distinct similarities to World War II.
Yeah.
Genocide, the invasion plans.
What the borders.
Yeah, we've now got the threat of nuclear war. You know, it's horrific, man, horrific. So we've now become, as of yesterday, so I'm made up that I've found out we've got a friend who's a barrister over in Ukraine. We've helped his family when they arrived here, and we've been friends since. We're now an NGO, a non-governmental organisation. So we're registered in Ukraine under the name of No Duff UK or NDUA. So we will be looking at having a office there, or a therapy suite where we will specifically deal with, I mean, anyone, but specifically for British veterans. We will help them with their mental health, their well-being. We'll also be there to assist with repatriation. You know, we will ensure that bodies are not left alone. Somebody will be there with that body throughout the transition of the battlefield to lying in Ukraine and then on the flight home. And then we'll have a team in the UK that will sadly do the other bits that need to be done. So there's a lot of things that we're doing, and so definitely watch this space.
It's absolutely amazing, that, mate. You've really got in front of it, and you've foreseen the effect it's going to have on people before most other people have noticed it. So well done for that, mate. That's absolutely amazing. Everything that you do as an organisation is absolutely amazing, mate. And I hope by this more people sort of get a wider sort of audience to it and understand what you do. One sort of final question I wanted to ask you, Dean, and it's not on Ukraine, it's the 3 dogs. The black dog coming. Can you explain a bit about that for me? Because I'm quite intrigued.
Right. So the black dog, it goes back to Churchill. Churchill was he suffered with depression. He'd always say that the black dog is there. You'll notice it's a 3-headed dog. So that's I can't remember if it's Cerebus or the dogs of Hades, the gates of hell. And it's 3 because we do have a slogan, and the slogan is "We watch, we listen, we act." So that's the 3 dogs. Yeah. Quality, and then we cater for all arms. So
absolute quality. And I'll just quickly touch on a couple of your patrons just before we wrap up. It's Denise Welsh.
Yeah.
Gail Porter.
Yeah.
Rab Livingston, who I know.
Yeah, I thought you'd know Rab, yeah.
Yeah, I know Rab. From the same town.
Yeah. And then we've got Dave Barnes, Preston is his stage name. He was a member of the Army School of Music. I'm an avid country fan, country rock fan. And Dave was on The Voice. I think he got all the way to the semi-finals. Listened to a couple of his songs, and I thought about time, that Britain had a decent singer in country, so he came on board. And then an old school friend of mine, Chris Lamb, he's one of our ambassadors. He does a lot for where he lives, which is a little village just outside of St Helens called Rainford. He was awarded the British Empire Medal for his charitable services to the Royal National Lifeboat Institute. Gail Porter's, she's faced her own demons. And Denise Wells, she's fully supportive of what we do. Funny enough, she video called me when I was out in Ukraine. It was just after an air raid, and we had to run up these old communist style apartments, dead dimly lit and all this lot. And we were on about the 8th floor. So by the time I got up to the 8th floor, she's still on the phone, and I'm like, I'll call you back. Anyway, so I calls Denise back, and Denise says, "Oh my God, Dean, what's up with this?" I said, "Denise, we just had an air raid." "Oh my God, are you okay? You okay?" And I went, "No, not really." I said, I'm knackered. I said, "I've just 8 flights of stairs." But yeah, she sends us messages every now and again, and it just brings awareness more than anything. We never ask them to do anything, because they've all got different things that they're involved in, and we're always looking for different patrons, ambassadors, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, Dean, thank you very much for sharing your whole story with us, and the bit in the middle with the mental health stuff, mate. I am absolutely certain that will help people who watch this.
Yeah.
Just to open up themselves, mate. Honestly, by speaking about it, and I've done it myself in the past, it does help massively for people. So thanks very much for that. All the work at No Duff UK are currently doing in Ukraine and beyond is absolutely amazing, mate. So please keep up the good work, and hopefully this gets to a wide audience and it gets awareness for more awareness for everyone. So Dean, thanks very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Thanks for inviting us to have a chat. I prefer this kind of method rather than getting up and doing a talk. I do like the question and answers. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure, mate.
It's been my pleasure, mate, and thanks very much for coming on. Tell all, by all, Dean. It's been an absolutely fantastic story.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to come on and talk about anything else, please get in touch. We've all got stories to tell.
Yeah.
Just end recording.
Yeah.